So there's one typical problem that managers and leaders always face, and that is the so-called back delegation. So imagine you delegate something to one of your colleagues, and you would love them to perform the task. But after a while, they come back to you and they have a problem, they have a question, and they present it to you. And now the danger is that you take over the task and you fix it because you think, well, he or she cannot do that, so I need to fix it. Now, if that is a general tendency, and if you have not only one employee, but several, that makes the case that you have so many more things lying on your desk that should actually be things that lie on your people's desk. Now, that back delegation also is a problem that becomes worse over time. Because the more time you now do the operative things that you shouldn't be doing, the less time you invest organizing, systematizing, creating efficiency, doing strategic things. And if you do less time work on these things, that means it creates more problems for the future. So what we actually need to do is make sure that the problem stays with the employees and also the solution. Now you have two roads that you can go for. The first one is a coaching road. So if the employee comes to you, you coach them into finding the answer themselves so that they understand what the solution process is, and then they go back, have the solution, and they implement it themselves. So you don't take it over, but you help them over a coaching approach to find the answer themselves. This is not the road we want to present in the video. We are looking at another quick, easy method that is systematically ideal then when it is things that the employees could actually be fixing. They are just not proactive enough, just not thinking it through enough. So for problems where you have the feeling they could have fixed it, that's easy. It's a no-brainer if you think about it for an hour. For that scenario, and only for that scenario, this one method is very vital and very important. And this method is called 1-3-1. And it's basically very simple. So whenever an employee comes to you and says, boss, it doesn't work, what you ask them to do is, you go like, okay, I want to understand the problem, and I want you to come up with 3 different ways on how to tackle the problem. And I want to have your one recommendation, which of those 3 options we take. So what you do here is you go in and invite the employee to go back, create a presentation of what the exact problem is, an exact description, to come up with 3 options on how to fix it and his or her recommendation on how to do that. It makes sense to then send the employee away to think about that, to think it through and to make sure that it actually works, right? Typically, employees don't have that in the top of their mind. And you should tell them what you would expect them to do, schedule a follow-up meeting where you have them present the one problem, the 3 optional ideas, and their one recommendation on how to tackle that. Now, this brings the employee into a situation where he or she will go to his or her desk, think it through, and have a few ideas, a few solutions. And just what we find in reality, just by describing the problem precisely, or by thinking out 3 solutions, typically the employee goes like, I know how to solve that. That's easy, right? And maybe they are coming then back to you, they get a reconfirmation that their problem-solving way and their choice for the best way was right. So they get a reconfirmation, which is important for employees to get. And you know that they thought it through and that they picked a good solution, and you have the chance to intervene then. Now, there's something else that happens on a systemic level here if you go for that. And this is by you showing the method that you want them to present it in. Before they even come to you in the first place, they will sit down and prepare the problems in a way that they can present you solutions. That means they will come fewer times to you because going through that process makes them find solutions typically even before they then go to you and then have the insight of, this is what I'm doing, and they'll just implement that. Now, there's one downside to it, and you need to be aware of that. If you train people that there is a hurdle to come to you for advice or with a problem, it typically reduces the speed of you being aware of the problems, right? So if an employee had last week he had a problem, he would come to you right away and you would know that there's a problem. Now, if an employee is trained that he needs to think it through, he'll look into the agenda and, well, end of next week, I have a time slot. I'll prepare a solution then. And you have maybe a problem incubating for 1.5 weeks without you knowing it. If, as a manager, you have a proper project portfolio management at a proper management level, this is not a problem. But if you're not there yet in your organization, well, then this is something you should look at, and you should actually fix a way in knowing what problems people work on. So if you have problems coming up to you too many times from your team, think about going for the coaching route, so structured conversations to help the employees solve the problem themselves, or go into a 1-3-1 method of asking the colleagues to go back, think it through, and present you the problem, the 3 optional solutions, and their preferred solution. Both things have one thing in common. We always want the employee to find the solution. Why do we want that? Well, as employee that once found a solution of himself or herself will do it a second time, and they will grow. They will be more able to fix things in the future, and that is exactly what we want to see.